Hey everybody, welcome back to an episode of Ships and Giggles. It's business, and I have been all over the place last week and a half or so. I haven't really had much time to do any videos. I wasn't able to upload anything. I wasn't able to stream. My upload speed had been just horrible stuff, and I had to just kind of put things on the back burner for a bit. I was still able to play games and all that. My download speed was just fine, but my upload speed took a dump. Figured out the problem, got it fixed, and yay, now you have a video in front of you. So today's action is centered around destroyers in this video, and most of it is Russian destroyers. So we've got the Kiev here, of course, and you saw that death trap with all those cruisers and the triple Atlanta division that I showed you just before. Yeah, trying to play this very cautiously, obviously. There's also the Izyaslav, the Ognavoy. Got some fun stuff with that one. Kind of disappointing in some respect, but and there's also a Bliss match, which I haven't shown at all on this channel. I haven't really played it much. I think I'm still under 10 games with it, but you know, basically it behaves like a Kiev. So yeah, just have longer range torps and you know, not as well. I guess it's debatable whether or not the guns are as effective, but I mean they don't shoot nearly as fast, but it plays very similarly, I think, to the Kiev overall. But I got some fun stuff with that coming up. I did play the BF1 beta, actually almost 30 hours of it, which is insane because it was just a single map. But I'm on the fence about that one. It's certainly, I don't think you should pre-order it. That's for damn sure. I think it's going to be a buggy freaking mess when it comes out, and I encountered plenty of those issues. Now, of course, a lot of those are going to get addressed when the game gets released, you know, certainly before then, but at the same time, there's going to be also a bunch of new problems, and I just don't have anything to do with that for probably a month or two, and then maybe I'll look into picking it up once they get the majority of the bugs, or at least the initial bugs, worked out. So I will have some videos on that. I have a 55-0 match in the artillery truck. That was funny, and of course we lost that because as much as I was trying to get shit done and, you know, just stay alive, basically I wasn't able to push up to support the caps that we had taken, and my team didn't really seem all that concerned about pushing onto those caps anyways. So, you know, same old story, whether it's Warships or BF1 or any other game. You know, teamwork is a rarity, and you gotta covet it when you actually have it. I mean, it's such a simple thing, but you know, when people are actually working together, regardless of the match or the game, there's just so much more you can achieve, and it's just a lot more fun than trying to do everything on your own. But in this match, I have traveled quite a fair distance already, and as you have seen, we're about the 11-minute mark, and I still haven't taken any damage, and I've just been harassing the hell out of this AOBA, and kind of go back and forth against this New Mexico, and he's got some shells coming in, and finally take some damage there. I was really just trying to do this little dance with those shells coming in to kind of stall and make sure that we had some ships on their cap in case I died and these guys moved in. I mean, I feel pretty, at this point, I was feeling pretty comfortable about, you know, the situation. I felt like we were going to be able to win this, but, you know, taking a look at the mini-map, you still have just some really poor decisions on positioning with the ships behind me that are going south of the island, south of the cap, as opposed to just going right across. It just doesn't really make any sense to me. So, and don't ask why I popped the smoke. I think it was, I don't know. I was anticipating that if I took any significant damage from the New Mexico, I would just come to a stop and be inside the smoke screen and just let my teammates behind me finish the job. But my torps managed to find the side of the New Mexico, and yay, he's down. Now, I'm including this clip because it should show that even in the Russian destroyers, you could still stalk enemy ships, because, you know, your detectability sucks, right? Everybody knows that with the Russian destroyers. But the detectability by air is actually not that bad. You know, it really is in line with the rest of the destroyers. And the only real problem when it comes to Russian detectability is when you fire your guns, because you get a few additional kilometers of detection, and that kind of sucks. So, you know, you flare up a lot more than you would in a Japanese or an American destroyer. So, but I find the Bogue over here and start dumping the HE into him. Started getting plenty of citadels. I launched one set of torps because in the event that something happened where, you know, bombers took me out or something, at the very least I got some torps off, and then it's kind of just a contingency plan on my end. I just want to make sure that there are some torps in the water just in case, because you never know when somebody's going to be able to do a perfect drop on you and just, you know, wreck your shit and detonate you, that sort of thing. You just never know. So the Warspite is coming back to see what he could do about me, and I'm not liking this fight, so I'm turning right back to the south to try to get the hell out of here. He gets a salvo out on me here, and I just managed to dodge that. But I do have those battleships that were helping me out on our cap. They're finally getting up to the north here to be able to do something about the Warspite. So I'm just harassing him again, and you can see his turrets turning back towards the battleships. And now he's going broadside. I get Confederate, and look at that. The shells come in and just wreck the hell out of this poor guy. So just trying to get my last shells on him. See if I can secure that kill. And booyah, there we go. 4 kills, 107,000 damage in the Boy. Pretty happy with that. So now let's look at the Bliss. I haven't done an overview on this. This is the first time I've shown any gameplay of this particular ship. And it plays a lot like the Kiev. And as you can see here, I'm dealing with the Mayhem and also a Hatsuharu. And nobody else is really here to help me out. I've been just kind of picking away at these guys when the opportunity has shown itself. And if you notice, the Mayhem isn't shooting at me, and he is going in a straight line, so that should be telling me something, and I should be a little bit prepared. And of course the Hatsu shows up, and you know, the only reason he'd do that most likely is because he's launched torps. So I'm trying to anticipate when that's going to happen. I'm turning in a bit, and I get the torp indicator coming up here right there. So I cut my speed and try to cut into the right. Give me the best chance to turn in. Ooh, that was close. And I go back to engaging the Hatsu. Try to get my broadside into it. And again, remember, that Mayhem, he definitely launched torps. Cut my speed, cut in, and crisis averted. So, yay. Finally get that Mayhem down, thanks to some backup. And our team is starting to move more towards the center and to the south, which is really good. Been harassing this in New York a bit. There's the Omaha that's just ahead of me, and he's actually AFK, so I'm just trying to get within torp range to, you know, obviously farm some damage here and get a bit more XP. And speaking of which, I gotta say, I'm looking forward to getting, I think I'll end up with 400 of the flags that give you 333% Captain XP. That'll be nice for my Isokazi that doesn't have Concealment Expert. Same with my Farragut, my Mayhem, Benson, my Fletcher, my Gearing. So that'll be really fun. And actually, maybe I'll work on that with my Clemson too, because I've got AFT on that, but Demolition Expert and AFT would be glorious for that little ship. What a fun little ship to play. But yeah, I'm more interested in getting the, you know, the destroyers up to par where they should be, because that's what I really have been lacking in. But I did launch torps at the Omaha, of course, because I just want to get that damage. And the carrier has taken notice of me and is not too happy with what I'm doing over here. So he does a very curious drop. I'm kind of surprised he chose that angle. One of my torps finds the AFK Omaha and gets him, and survive that. I just want that damn warning klaxon to go away. There we go. So the enemy Hiryu and also a Colorado are on fire. They're just burning away. Trying to see if I can get a double strike here and a Kraken, and I'm very close to getting both. So I think I have 1 or 2 fires burning on the Colorado, and look at this. He's almost there. Got that last little tick, and then shells come in, and he's gone. Bah! But I did get Confederate with the last little tick of damage there on the Hiryu and get him. So that would have been a double strike and the Kraken, and that would have been awesome. But maybe another time. So switching over to the Izyaslav, which is a ship I've kind of had a resurgence in. This is definitely one I'd love to get AFT on as well. And actually, AFT and Concealment Expert, I think you could do some serious work with this ship when you have those. Say goodbye to the Wyoming. He beached, and that's actually my second kill of the match. I had killed a Clemson that had pretty much beached on the same spot. As you can see on the mini-map there, a little triangle. But I'm kind of stalking this Congo and trying to see what he plans on doing. I did get spotted a bit earlier, which is why you have shells coming in. And those are actually pretty damn close to hitting me, so whoever shot those, it's actually rather impressive. But and I was trying to move down to this corner because I saw that one carrier was spotted heading this way, and then I ended up finding a boat, so I was pretty damn excited by that. It was kind of like one of those Dear Diary moments, jackpot. I love blowing up carriers, and I'm sure they love blowing me up too, in the destroyer especially. But managed to get a Citadel on the Bogue and take out his engine. Not like it would have made much of a difference. I mean, the ship is so damn slow, and there's going to be no issue with catching up to it. So I do have a couple fires that are going to continue to burn on the Bogue. So I'm going to continue focusing on the Langley here, since he's within my torp range, and we're about to be, and start getting some more shots on the Bogue again. Gonna launch some torps at the Langley and see if I can set him up for a devastating strike, and go back to the Bogue and just try to get more of those Citadels and finish him off as soon as I can, because regardless of whether or not... yep, there's the planes. That's what I was hoping to avoid. So, managed to get another Citadel on him again, and with the Langley, I'm trying to shoot at the engine there and take that out. He actually does a pretty good job of getting away from my torps. I get his engine, but it's a bit too late, and yeah, so I was kind of annoyed by that. So, we gotta try to get this Langley down real fast while I'm still moving in against the Bogue, and I'm doing that so I can launch torps against the Bogue and continue using my guns on the Langley here. But this drop was actually not bad at all. He did a good job lining me up there, but Izyaslav, pretty solid in terms of maneuverability. Nothing like an Isokazi or something, but still, it's not a bad ship to drive, and it honestly feels really good to play now for some reason. Like, I would actually say better than when I first played it, and maybe it's just experience or whatever the case may be, but as you can see, more and more Citadels. God, I love shooting those damn things. They're so easy. And since it doesn't happen enough, let's do some more Izyaslav action here. I'm actually chasing down a Murmansk in it. And the funny part is, there's a Myogi on my left and a Texas on my right. Probably not the greatest of situations to be in. And this particular part of the video that's coming up is one of those really awkward moments in the game that... when you mess up torps, you kind of just wonder, what the hell were you thinking? And this is one of those situations for me. And what happens is, when you get closer to an enemy ship, even a slower one, like a battleship, you have to lead ahead of where the torp lead indicator is telling you. And you're going to see a really good example of this here. So, I'm not entirely sure why I launched this point. I should have just waited, but you see that second torp spread and this third one? The second one was behind, while the third one was up ahead of where the target lead indicator was. So I only hit, 2 out of 3 torps. I mean, this is just awkward. Like, I can't do anything for a bit. I'm too close to pop my smoke because I'll just be proxy detected anyways. And it just makes me feel like an idiot sometimes when that happens, so... But there's New York up in the top here, and he's just staring me down. I'm zoomed in on him here. I'm waiting for him to fire so I can start busting a move. Booyah. Split some of those shells, and it got the other ones coming up. And here we go. Wait for the flash. No, it's coming. I know, you know, for the most part, I should be okay, even taking a couple hits. But I'm doing what I should have been doing the first time, and approaching at a better angle in the first place, but leading my torps a little ahead of them. And my god, that torpedo traverse is so slow. But this is, while the most dangerous attack vector, it's still the best because there's no escaping those. I mean, he could try to turn out, but I mean, it was way too late, and obviously he didn't make much of an effort to try to avoid the torps in the first place. So we go back to the south, and that Miyogi that I totally ignored and just left down there, well, he's still alive, and he is none too pleased with my shenanigans, and I take some hits. That was actually really good dispersion. I mean, you could see those shells coming in. They were tightly grouped, and at this point, I really can't get any closer to a Miyogi, so I dump my torps, and this is actually where the Izyaslav has a great advantage, and it's interesting because it does not sound like much, but having 5km torps instead of 4km on the Dursky before it and the Ognavoy after it, it actually makes a huge difference in these situations where, you know, most of these battleships, like if I were in any other of the Russian destroyers, like the Dursky or the Ognavoy, he would have been able to avoid these. I mean, they just ran out, so that was at the very edge of the 5km range. Like, I wouldn't have been able to secure that kill at all if I were in, you know, one of the other Russian destroyers or like a Kiev, as far as, you know, getting the torp hits. And that's what I really like about using the Izyaslav. But I still play the Ognavoy pretty frequently. I think this is a fantastic ship at tier 6, and to me it's just a lot of fun. I've been able to have very consistent results with this, and that's actually surprised me quite a bit because, you know, again, the Ognavoy prior to the HP turret buff, the turret buff for the HP was just abysmal to play, and I didn't have to play it to know that. I knew that just by playing against it. You know, having these poor bastards lose both of their turrets on one salvo from a cruiser is, I mean, that was insane. And, you know, losing one turret, that's half your firepower, and it would almost always be the front, so you'd just be left with the rear turret or some crap, which is obviously not an ideal situation. But yeah, there's a Cleveland up here, and we've got a few ships over here to help me out, and I certainly don't want to get any closer to this guy, and it looks like he's moving ahead here, which is really strange. I don't quite understand what he's trying to do, but my line of fire is obviously blocked by the rocks there, and the Cleveland is shooting at, I'm guessing, Frere behind me. I guess everybody ends up shooting at Frere at some point. The guy just attracts a lot of attention for some reason. But a couple of my torps find their mark on the Cleveland, and we get him taken out, and suddenly a wild bogue appears. And I don't know what the deal was with the string of finding carriers and, you know, playing the Russian destroyers, but it kept happening over and over again. And I think I've mentioned this before, like in the Kiev video, you saw me go after carriers a few times there too, and the flanking speed of these Russian destroyers is just a lot of fun. Being able to just kind of push on an enemy's side, their flank, and continue to head south or north or wherever, and kind of push them away with your guns and setting fires on them and everything, because you're such a damn distraction, and you've got, you know, good shell velocity on the guns. They have a low enough arc to hit faster moving targets, and you can usually catch up to any target that you're trying to hit anyways when you're using these ships. You know, you can close that gap pretty quickly. Now, there's a couple enemy ships over here that are a little bit more aware of my presence now. There's a Congo, and there's also the New York. So I am trying to set some more fires on this Congo while I'm totally ignoring anything that the New York is doing. I'm just closing in on him so I can try to get into torp range. And of course, the more he turns, the worse off it is for him, because he bleeds off some of his speed while I'm still cruising at a good 40 knots here, or around that. So the enemy Congo put out his fire there, and I'm just trying to reset that. Unfortunately, the New York, he managed to connect with quite a few of those shells there last salvo. Trying to line up my torps, I set a fire on the Congo, and I think these should have enough range to reach. I really don't think that he's going to be able to get out of the way on that, and it does look like the Congo is going to burn. So now just watching the New York, it looks like he's going to turn back and try to dump a last salvo on me before he dies. And luckily miss, and I get the Kraken double strike. Yay! I love setting that type of stuff up. So I'm looking to see just how far I can push this and just how much more damage I can get, hopefully with the 6th kill. I've got a decent spot here with shooting at the enemy in New Mexico, the last guy on their team, and just trying to get some fires and finally get that done. You can see the damage taken away at the top right. So it looks like he's going to cut in and try to, you know, finish me off. And of course, because that would put me in a good position for torping, he anticipates that very well. It stays out of my torp range. The second I launched these, I was like, damn it, I totally screwed that up. I possibly could have pushed in against him since he only had his front 2 turrets aligned towards me, and maybe I could have gotten away with getting those torps a bit closer to being on target, but then I screw up royally here, and that shot was too low. And look at the placement on this. Bow, 1 missed, and 1 hit the turret barbette, so yeah, 11 hits and no damage. Could have had 6, damn it. Oh well, but that's it for this episode of Ships and Giggles. I definitely have more content coming up. I'm gonna try to, you know, get back on my schedule with doing all sorts of videos for this, and, you know, throw some BF1 footage up. And by all means, I'm enjoying the accusations that I've been getting lately, so keep that shit coming. But thanks for watching today, guys. I will see you back here soon, and take care.